former Kentucky quarterback Jared Lorenzen. We talked the other day about how he had been ill and he was in the hospital, and we thought because he was young he would be able to come back. He did not. Unfortunately, Jared Lorenzen died on Wednesday, and we have now heard that he'd been fighting for his life for several days here. We'd known about that, but things did not obviously go his way. He fell victim to multiple issues. It wasn't just one thing. He had a kidney problem and also some heart issues. There was an infection, and it was just like the trifecta of doom, unfortunately, for Jared Lorenzen. So his family announced his death on July 3rd, and Jared Lorenzen was only 38 years old. So I wanted to talk because Lorenzen, we're going to do it's really a 5-line tribute because we do not have 6 lines because line 1's not working. So the question is, what are you going to remember most about Jared Lorenzen? You might not remember anything. Maybe you're not old enough. You didn't watch college football when Jared Lorenzen was playing at Kentucky, and you don't have any real remembrance, and that's fine. But for me, I've got Winnie the Pooh, the movie trailer, and The Struggle. Because, and I'll explain what all these are tied together with Jared Lorenzen. Now, Lorenzen was not the greatest college quarterback of all time, but boy, was he pretty good. And he was only a backup in the NFL. He never started a game in his brief NFL career, but this guy was an inspiration for an overweight nation of kids that grew up wanting to play football. And it's hard to believe that it's been almost 20 years since he made his debut at Kentucky and became an overnight sensation. He was a fad, Jared Lorenzen, of college football. And this is back in the Stone Age, before social media in the early 2000s. Now it's easy to become a fad because of social media, but back in those days, it was much more difficult. That was like back in the MySpace days, the early days of MySpace. I think it might have been before MySpace. But the point is, listen, he did it. Lorenzen did it. He became someone who was of note because of his play, and he was able to become a cult hero. He got cult hero status. He was like a real-life Paul Bunyan, this mythical quarterback living in the woods. And he kind of looked like Winnie the Pooh, but he played like Conan the Barbarian. And it's like, it doesn't look like you should play like Winnie the Pooh. Why is he not playing like Winnie the Pooh? And he's like Conan the Barbarian. And he did this and became this college football cult hero while playing for a miserable Kentucky Wildcats team. Kentucky, in games Jared Lorenzen started, had a .326 winning percentage in college. But it was his size, his bigger-than-life personality. This guy, and I never met him, but he was a fun-loving guy, country guy. Had all the nicknames there. Nobody playing sports in the last 50 years has had a bigger and more impressive collection of nicknames. Now, I would challenge my nicknames in radio, but I'm not an athlete. I'm gasbag. I'm a verbal athlete on the radio, but no tribute to Jared Lorenzen can be done without his many stage names. He was known as, among other things, the Hefty Lefty. That's the most famous nickname, and it's great. But some of the other nicknames, Pillsbury Throwboy. Tell me that's not good. Pillsbury Throwboy. Great nickname. The Abominable Throwman. That's pretty good. It's a solid nickname. J-Load, because J-Lo was popular in those days, so J-Load. And there was a player in the XFL that was popular, so they gave Lorenzen the nickname He Ate Me. Because the guy in the XL, do I have to explain? I don't think I have to explain. Round mound of touchdown. That was a pretty good one. I like that one. Jared Lorenzen was also known as the Lord of the Ringdings. Solid. Battleship Lorenzen. Q-Beast was one of his nicknames. Unfortunately, that turned out to be problematic down the line. But Lorenzen embraced his celebrity. He didn't hide from it. Who was that guy... the hamster guy from the Buccaneers. Remember that running back that had the
muscle hamster?
Yeah, the muscle hamster. Yeah, he didn't like that. He was like offended by that. He was bothered. He didn't want anyone to call him. Doug Martin didn't want anyone to call him the hamster or the muscle hamster or whatever. He was annoyed by that. But Lorenzen had all these ridiculous nicknames. He loved them all. He loved every one of them. He thought it was great. And he was every fat kid's dream. Jared Lorenzen as an overweight quarterback who was good. He really was the great fat hope. He was, and I'm saying that with all respect. When you're an overweight kid, and I was that, and you are pigeonholed, any fat kid that's played sports, you are pigeonholed as what? A lineman, right? No chance to play. Maybe occasionally tight end, but very rarely. It's always lineman, defensive or offensive line, depending on how obese you are. And it's your plot in life if you play football, if you're a big kid. Which sucks because we all know the quarterback gets the girl, not the offensive lineman, right? Not the offensive lineman. And unfortunately, there is still a prejudice against the chubby kid with the bazooka arm who wants to be a quarterback. Not allowed. Now, furthermore, Jared Lorenzen is a reminder not to judge a book by its cover because you can get burned when you have these preconceived ideas. Now, I am not naive to the fact that we all have preconceived ideas about everything. Everyone does it. But it's better when you don't form opinions on movies based on the trailer or what somebody wrote on Rotten Tomatoes or one of the other websites. Judge for yourself, right? You can watch the trailer and judge off the trailer, but, fine. Maybe it's not your cup of tea. But judge things on your own merit. And Jared Lorenzen looked like he should be in a pie-eating contest. Or, more appropriately, this being the 4th of July, he should be out there in New York and over in Coney Island having hot dogs with Joey Chestnut. But he could play. He ran like a gazelle for a 300-pound quarterback. He bulldozed smaller defenders, had a grenade launcher for an arm. And Jared Lorenzen was on some really, as I said, bad Kentucky football teams. 14-29 was his record for the Wildcats. But he was holding his own. Those teams lost. They had no defense, not because of Jared Lorenzen. And he did it in not some chopped liver conference, the almighty, all-powerful Southeastern Conference. As a freshman, Jared Lorenzen led the SEC in passing yards. Think about that. Big fat guy from Kentucky leading the Southeastern Conference, the gold standard of college football, and even in those days and led the conference in passing yards. And there were other quarterbacks that went on and had starting careers in the NFL. And did you know that the hefty lefty, I remember this because we were on Fox Sports Radio after this game, he had 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions in a game against LSU. You know who was coaching LSU? Nick Saban, against a Nick Saban defense, the greatest college football coach in the modern era. And Jared Lorenzen had 4 touchdowns and no interceptions in a game against the LSU Bengal Tigers, coached by Nick Saban. I remember a game against Tennessee. And Tennessee, this was so long ago, Tennessee had good football teams year after year. This was not that long after they'd won the national championship. Philip Fulmer was still the coach. Lorenzen had 400 yards passing. He had 4 touchdowns. And we can go on. He had a 500-yard passing game against Georgia. And that was when Georgia had future Cowboys quarterback Quincy Carter. He outplayed the hefty lefty, outplayed Jesse Palmer and Rex Grossman. When Kentucky played Florida, had better numbers than those guys. And Jared still holds the school record in Kentucky for the most passing yards. I know I'm going on and on and on. He ended up being undrafted. He never got a real chance to play in the NFL. I think he only attempted like 8 passes in the NFL. But he did get a Super Bowl ring. He was the backup quarterback on the 2007 Giants. I lost a lot of money because I bet on the Patriots. But Jared Lorenzen, I was happy he got a Super Bowl ring. He also went to training camp with the Indianapolis Colts in 2008, but he was waived right before the start of that regular season, and he never played in the NFL again. That was the end of Jared Lorenzen as an NFL player. Now, the last thing, and we're going to get to this 5-line tribute, so if you want to be part, if you have something you want to add about Jared Lorenzen, we're going to open up the phone lines here, and we're going to only take calls. So if you're on hold, you're going to hang up on you. You have to take part, and we'll give out the number in a second. But like many former athletes, Jared Lorenzen's life spiraled out of control once he was done playing football. And it's only 11 years. Think about this. It was 11 years since he last played part of an NFL team, and now he's gone. We've lost Jared Lorenzen, a death too soon. And he had loved football so much. It was like, I remember seeing the story about Joe Jackson, who was banned from baseball, the Black Sox scandal. And he loves baseball so much, he would play in these minor league, Bush League games because he loved baseball so much, he was banned from the major leagues. Jared Lorenzen loved football so much, he played in all these fugazi minor leagues just so he could still play. I thought that was pretty cool. He played in arena indoor football leagues, and then he broke his leg, and that turned out to be the real push that ended his career. And he was a 300-pound quarterback, and then once he retired, he was over 500 pounds. He gained an extra 200 pounds when he retired, and which led to Jared Lorenzen getting a reality show, the Jared Lorenzen Project. You might have seen that. I think it was like about a year ago. It's a reality show to get him to lose weight, and he did. Jared Lorenzen lost 100 pounds. He lost 100 pounds, but the damage had been done. And as someone who has battled the bulge myself, I do have empathy for Jared Lorenzen. The struggle is real, right? And some of you know, if you've listened to the show for a while, I lost over 200 pounds myself. But the daily grind is a nightmare. Now, lately I have been on this intermittent fasting thing where I eat like one meal a day and then I skip a day every once in a while. And this has actually worked pretty well for me. I don't recommend it for everyone. A lot of people can't do it. Just drink a lot of water, don't eat. You'll lose weight. Drink a lot of water, don't eat much. And I save my meals for the weekend. I eat a lot of food on the weekend. Not a lot. I just eat regular on the weekend. But it is a real life curse when you are addicted to food because, you don't really need alcohol to live, right? You don't really need alcohol. If your vice is gambling, you don't really have to gamble. I know you get addicted to that too, but you kind of have to eat. And Lorenzen was obviously addicted, had some issues and all that. But